The new National Veterans Resource Center on campus is now open. According to Institute Director Mike Hain, students and staff have started moving into the building. Good evening, I'm Kerri McAneney.
And I'm Carmella Boykin. The $62 million project started in 2017. The Institute aims to help lead academic research and programming to empower those and their families who've served for this nation. The center's grand opening is on April 17th.
There's a water main break in the Marshall apartment building. Water will be shut off for the entire building tomorrow for repairs. In an email sent to residents today, the Marshall staff says they will shut the water off for 4 to 8 hours around 10 a.m. The email says a water leak from the main pipes into the building is causing the issue.
Tonight, Syracuse University welcomes Andrea Jenkins to give the Black History Month commemorative lecture. Jenkins is the first Black trans woman elected to public office in the U.S. She's also a writer, poet, and transgender activist. The lecture begins at 7:30 in Slocum Hall, room 214. Doors open at 7:15, and the event is free to all students.
The college Democrats and Republicans are holding a debate about immigration tonight. The debate will be moderated by Maxwell professor Dr. Grant Reher. Some of the issues that are being discussed include ICE, family separation, and policy solutions. The debate is being held at Maxwell Auditorium with a reception afterwards. The debate begins at 7:30.
And did you ever want to go on Shark Tank? Well, you may have a chance to see your startup pitch come to life soon. Applications are now open for the Atlantic Coast Conference InVenture Prize 2020. The student startup competition features teams for 15 colleges and universities in the ACC. The competition is open to all undergraduate students or for those who've graduated within the past 2 years. Applications will be accepted through February 7th.
The weather outside was quite chilly today, but we didn't see any snow.
That's true, Kerri, and hopefully we won't see any snow soon. But here to tell us what we can expect live from the CitrusTV weather deck is our weather anchor, Walker Simmons. Walker?
Thanks, guys. Now, if you were outside on campus today, there's a big talk of winter weather storm. However, things have been fairly nice for winter weather today. However, heading into tonight, I do have some bad news, but looking around right now, we don't have a lot of snow. We're sitting at about 26 degrees right now, so things are fairly clear. You can start to enjoy tonight just a little bit before we start to see the front end of this winter weather storm. However, as we move into tonight, around 12 a.m., we're going to start to see some of this heavier snow showers, and it'll be a wintry mix throughout the week, but for right now, it's going to stay snow and remain that. So tonight, temperatures drop to 24 degrees, and we even get snow showers that are going to start coming in around midnight, and the low is 24, so you shouldn't expect things to get much colder, but definitely be prepared for some heavier snowfall and some colder temperatures. Now, as you wake up tomorrow morning, that snow is just going to continue going into the night and into the morning. Around 9 a.m., you might see it switch into a wintry mix, and I'll get more into that in my full weather forecast. But right now, as you wake up, just keep in mind, temperatures are going to remain in these hot mid to low 30s to high 20s, so be prepared for that cold weather and this winter weather storm. We're going to start to see the front end of it, and I'll get more into what the worst parts of this storm and what else to expect in my full weather forecast. For right now, that's all I have. Reporting live from the weather deck, Walker Simmons, CitrusTV News.
Thanks, Walker. As coronavirus continues to spread across the world, it's continuing to inch closer to home, including one possible case on the Cornell campus in Ithaca. Our Brianna Liberman is in studio with more on how to stay healthy.
Thanks, guys. As fears about coronavirus continue to sweep through the nation, the Onondaga County Medical Director, Dr. Boykin, says it's not a major threat to central New York. The virus has to come within 6 feet away from you, and you would have to spend a decent amount of time with someone affected before it can be passed. There have only been 2 reported cases of human-to-human transmission in the U.S., one in Chicago and the other in San Benito, California. And both transmissions have been through spouses who had recently traveled to Wuhan, China. Because of this, the doctor says it is much harder for it to spread.
It sounds scary, and we can come to the reason why it is. But at least the risk for any one of us walking the street in Syracuse is still very, very low.
Either way, local hospitals are prepared for anyone who comes in with the symptoms. Hospitals will ask if the person has recently traveled to China or have been in close contact with someone who has in the past 14 days. If they have, the hospital warns medical professionals who gear up with mask and body protection. and the person will be led to a designated room in isolation. If the individual fits the initial screening criteria for coronavirus, doctors will then call the state to decide whether they should request testing from the CDC. If both state and local officials agree, half of a sample from the person will be forwarded to the CDC for testing, while the other half stays at the State Health Department in Albany to test for routine viral infections. The CDC is the only department in the country who can test for coronavirus. Dr. Nguyen says that the county is in constant contact with the CDC for updated protocol, and as of yesterday, there are 11 confirmed cases in the U.S., none in the state of New York. Carmella, Kerri, back to you guys.
Thanks. CNY Solidarity is holding a Reject the Cover-Up Rise for Democracy protest at South Clinton Street. The group is demonstrating against the results of the impeachment trial of President Donald Trump, which ended just a few hours ago. The group says they want to hold senators and Congress accountable.
Syracuse City school districts will receive more funding from New York State for after-school programs. Governor Andrew Cuomo announced today that $10 million will be given to 33 school districts and community organizations. SCSD will receive $312,000. Governor Cuomo says the funding will help put students across the state on a better path. Governor Cuomo's 5-year, $20 billion plan to combat homelessness announced a major milestone today. The plan created and preserved 62,000 affordable and supportive housing units. The plan for housing the homeless is scheduled to create a total of 100,000 units of affordable housing, as well as another 6,000 units of supportive housing.
Coming up on Citrus TV News Live at 6, the Senate has just voted to acquit President Trump on both impeachment charges. We have the details on the vote.
Plus, we have the latest on the Iowa caucus. Who ended up coming out on top may surprise you. Stay with us.
President Trump has officially been acquitted on both articles of impeachment, bringing to an end months of investigation, debate, and trial. Chief Justice John Roberts delivered the verdict to the Senate just hours ago.
Upon 2 articles of impeachment exhibited against him by the House of Representatives, and 2/3 of the senators present not having found him guilty of the charges contained therein, it is therefore ordered and adjudged that the said Donald John Trump be, and he is hereby, acquitted of the charges in said articles.
Senators voted to acquit the president on the charge of abuse of power by a vote of 52 to 48, with Senator Mitt Romney being the only Republican to vote guilty on the charge of the obstruction of Congress. Senators remained on the party lines, with the final vote coming in at 53 to 47.
The president responded on Twitter shortly after the vote, sharing a video of himself on the cover of Time magazine with election banners dating past 2048. He will give an official statement tomorrow at noon at the White House. However, last night there was no mention of impeachment during the State of the Union address.
CitrusTV Politicals correspondent Michael Furnari is in studio to break down the speech.
On Tuesday, President Trump delivered the annual State of the Union address, giving voters an extended pitch for his reelection. Trump began his address touting recent economic growth, calling it, quote, the great American comeback. Take a listen to what President Trump had to say about his vision for the country.
An inclusive society, one where every citizen can join in America's unparalleled success, and where every community can take part in America's extraordinary rise. From the instant I took office, I moved rapidly to revive the U.S. economy.
Trump would go on to cite all-time lows in Black, Hispanic, and Asian unemployment. The president's guests to the State of the Union are always a fixture of the address. This year, Venezuelan opposition leader Juan Guaido, Tuskegee Airman Charles McGee, and talk radio host Rush Limbaugh were among those invited. Limbaugh has recently been diagnosed with advanced lung cancer. Take a listen to how President Trump honored the radio host.
And Rush, in recognition of all that you have done for our nation, the millions of people a day that you speak to and that you inspire, and all of the incredible work that you have done for charity, I am proud to announce tonight that you will be receiving our country's highest civilian honor, the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
Trump also addressed recent tensions with Iran, praising anti-government protests in Iran and reiterating his opposition to the state's pursuit of nuclear weapons. The president ended his address with the same optimism he began it with, simply saying, quote, the best is yet to come. Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi didn't share the same sentiment, ripping up her copy of the speech shortly after it concluded. Carmella and Kerri, back to you.
Thanks, Michael. The latest on the Iowa caucus. Mayor Pete Buttigieg has an early lead in the opening polls.
71% of the precincts in the state show that Buttigieg has a slight lead over Senator Bernie Sanders. Other candidates, Joe Biden and Amy Klobuchar, are trailing significantly behind.
This comes after technical problems prevented results from coming out Monday. Chairman of the state party, Troy Price, has declined to answer questions of the timeline of the final results.
Even with the uncertainty, all of the remaining candidates are heading to New Hampshire for the first primary of the 2020 election. Candidates are now moving their camps to the Northeast ahead of next Tuesday's primary election.
CitrusTV is following the candidates through New Hampshire. Stay tuned to Live at 6 through the rest of the week for coverage of each of the campaigns and the election as a whole.
Governor Cuomo is sending additional crews and resources to Puerto Rico after another earthquake yesterday. The magnitude 5.0 quake was the 11th major earthquake to hit the island in the last month. There were no reported injuries or deaths, but many of the island are still without power and water from the first earthquake nearly a month ago.
The New York Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul returned last night from a visit to survey some of that damage.
Coming up on Citrus TV News, a major structural change from LinkedIn, how it will affect the company.
And we have a winter weather storm crossing through Syracuse. Know when and how much to expect coming up.
It inspires passionate debate, and it's worn like a badge of honor with good reason. Because it means love and devotion for one's country. But what really makes up this country of ours? It's the people. To love America is to love all Americans. This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Love beyond age, sexuality, disability, race, religion, and other labels. Because love has no labels.
Did you hear about the pony with a sore throat? He was a little horse. Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding. Why couldn't the Why was the basketball court all wet? Why? Because the players kept dribbling all over it. Where did Cavs go on vacation? New York.
Macy's is set to close 1/5 of its location over the next 3 years. The department store closings will cut nearly 2,000 jobs. Macy's says the company has been struggling in the age of online shopping. While the Destiny USA location has survived the first round of closings, Macy's has not announced which additional stores will close.
LinkedIn CEO Jeff Weiner is stepping down from his position. Weiner is changing roles after being CEO for 11 years. He says he's stepping down because the time felt right. The service has grown from 33 million users when Weiner joined in 2008 to about 675 million users today.
Oh, and now as we get into the rest of this week, starting off, we're going to see temperatures around these higher 30s, and it'll get down into the 20s. Now, this is where we're going to see the front end of this winter weather storm. As I talked about earlier, it's going to come in tonight, and then it's going to progress all throughout tomorrow. So definitely have your winter boots ready for tomorrow. I know you haven't needed them these last couple of weeks because we haven't seen a lot of snow, but we're definitely going to be seeing a lot of snow, but also mixed in with some rain. As you can see right now, we get a low of 13 degrees throughout Thursday. So as you can see throughout the day, it stays fairly nice. But as it progresses into the night, we hit a colder temperature. So that rain that might have progressed throughout the day is going to start to freeze overnight. And so looking into the weekend, Friday, even Saturday is when things are going to get pretty worse. Now, taking a look at the map here, we see temperatures are fairly even across the board. Rochester being the coldest right now at about 26 degrees, but things are staying pretty even across the board, and this winter weather storm will go across the entire upstate, so everyone around here will feel kind of the impacts of this. Now, looking at the snow outlook right now, I decided to put it at a high. It's not very high. It's not the most drastic we've seen. We're definitely expecting a lot of snow on Thursday and Friday. However, that's about 1 to 3 inches because of that rain mixing in there, so it's not going to accumulate that much. Now, there is a big, like I said, a mix of that rain with a low of 13 is when things are going to get a lot colder and freeze and possibly get a lot worse over time. Now, that's all I have in weather, and I'll get more of my 5-day forecast on what to expect this weekend. But Sean, how are things looking in sports?
Basketball, lacrosse, and football, oh my. From national awards to the season opener to National Signing Day, we'll have all your coverage coming up after the break. Don't go anywhere.
Fancy pants peanut butter? A big screen television? You haven't even bought a sofa yet. A motorcycle? When your father finds out, he's gonna flip his shoes with 2 buckles? What do you even need 2 buckles for? Mr. Big Shot, buying whiskey shots for everybody in the bar. From the looks of it, I'd say nobody even remembers. Feed the pig.
There's one thing you can never have sex without.
It's not something you buy.
Or something you take.
In fact, there's only one way to get it.
It has to be given to you, freely.
It's consent.
Because sex without it isn't sex.
It's rape. Consent.
If you don't get it, you don't get it. It's on us to stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
I see you mobbing over her. Let's go. Let's mob. Let's crawl. Let's crawl. Let's crawl. Hey, yo, we mobbing. Come on, girl. Let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl. Hey, let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl.
Fancy pants peanut butter? A big screen television? You haven't even bought a sofa yet. A motorcycle? When your father finds out, he's gonna flip his shoes with 2 buckles? What do you even need 2 buckles for? Mr. Big Shot, buying whiskey shots for everybody in the bar. From the looks of it, I'd say nobody even remembers. Feed the pig.
It is almost lacrosse time once again here in Central New York. Syracuse begins its season on Friday at 4 p.m. against Colgate. Syracuse will look to improve a 9-5 campaign from a year ago that saw the Orange lose in the first round of the NCAA tournament for the second straight year. With a win on Friday, head coach John Desko can pass legendary coach Roy Simmons Sr. for the second most wins in school history. And you may remember the Raiders pulled a huge 12-9 upset at the Carrier Dome in last season's opener against the Orange. But you better believe senior attack Stephen Rafis hasn't forgotten that fact either.
From the moment that game ended, I think everyone was talking right away, like, I hope we play them that same Friday night, first game of the year. I've had it circled on the calendar ever since I found out. I remember asking the coaches over the summer if it was finalized. I think everyone's really looking forward to it, and it's definitely a bit of a revenge game for us and for me personally.
And for the second time in less than a month, Syracuse football has a new defensive coordinator. Arizona State defensive coordinator Tony White will be joining the Orange for the 2020 season in the same role. The reported hire comes after Zach Arnett left for the DC job at Mississippi State just 11 days after being hired here in Syracuse. White brings with him from Tempe a 3-3-5 defense similar to the one Arnett was expected to implement. White and the new scheme will try and improve an Orange defense that ranked 115th out of 130 in the nation in yards allowed per game last year. And the hire comes just in time for National Signing Day. Syracuse signed 4 more players today, joining the 18 newcomers who signed national letters of intent back in December during the early signing period. The 22-player class ranks 58th in the country and 10th in the ACC according to 24/7 Sports. Among the 4 players signed today were 2 quarterbacks from Texas and Mississippi and 2 cornerbacks from Virginia and South Carolina. All 4 players are 3-star prospects, and head coach Dino Baber says the 2 quarterbacks compare favorably to former player and recent Super Bowl quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo.
We think we've got 2 high-quality guys, and I'll just always remember people, I'll always remind people that, you know, I got an opportunity to go watch Jimmy Garoppolo play in the Super Bowl, and he had just as many stars as the last 2 guys that we recruited. Of course, you know, that could be a coincidence, but we'll have to wait and see what happens.
Hughes men's basketball is receiving some national recognition today as well. Forward Elijah Hughes has been named a finalist for the Julius Erving Award, which recognizes the top small forward in the country. Hughes is second in the ACC in scoring at 19.4 points per game, behind fellow Erving Award finalist Jordan Wara at Louisville. Hughes has scored at least 10 points in all 23 games this season and leads the Orange in minutes played and assists per game as well. And Syracuse men's basketball isn't the only basketball team to have a player named to a national award list. Syracuse women's basketball signee Camilla Cardoso has been named one of 10 semifinalists for the Naismith High School Girls Player of the Year Award. Cardoso is the only center on that list, and she is part of the Orange's 4th-ranked recruiting class this season, and she is the number 5 overall prospect in the country. The finalists for the award will be named on February 18th, and the winner will be announced on March 10th.
So how is Syracuse lacrosse looking?
Well, they should be pretty good this year. They had a pretty nice result against Yale in a scrimmage a couple days ago. And they've got Tucker Dordevic, missed all of last season for the Orange. He's back now finally. And Chase Scanlon transfers in from Loyola. He was one of the top players in all of lacrosse last season. So the Orange should be dangerous.
Nice, nice. And also today was football signing day. So what do you think about some of the new players?
Well, no one really stands out from the traditional star perspective. There's no 4 stars, 5 stars, a lot of 3 stars. But we've seen so far that Dino Babers is able to really generate a lot of talent out of lesser players.
Awesome. Our sports anchor, Sean Scott. Sean, thank you for being here. And when we come back, we'll have one last look at your weather.
Fancy pants peanut butter? A big screen television? You haven't even bought a sofa yet. A motorcycle? When your father finds out, he's gonna flip his shoes with 2 buckles? What do you even need 2 buckles for? Mr. Big Shot, buying whiskey shots for everybody in the bar. From the looks of it, I'd say nobody even remembers. Feed the pig.
There's one thing you can never have sex without.
It's not something you buy.
Or something you take.
In fact, there's only one way to get it.
It has to be given to you, freely.
It's consent.
Because sex without it isn't sex.
It's rape. Consent.
If you don't get it, you don't get it. It's on us to stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
I see you mobbing over her. Let's go. Let's mob. Let's crawl. Let's crawl. Let's crawl. Hey, yo, we mobbing. Come on, girl. Let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl. Hey, let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl.
We're now joined by our weather anchor, Walker Simmons. And Walker, you mentioned a lot of snow is coming up, but for tomorrow morning, what can we expect?
Well, tomorrow morning, snow as well. Tonight,
Awesome.
so around 12 a.m., we're going to get snow. That's when things are going to start to progress. That's when we see, the highest amount coming in. And waking up, going all throughout the rest of the night, early into tomorrow morning, is when you're going to really start to see a lot of snow. Now, 9 a.m., for some of those late waker-uppers, 9 a.m.s, anyone who has a class past 9.
That'd be me.
Get ready for a little bit of a mix. So from there, you're going to see some rain come in along with some snow. Depending on how cold it is, that's really the determining factor is what you should expect. And as that rain continues, as things start to get wet going into the rest of Thursday, if we get below freezing or something drops, you could see some of that rain, that standing water turn into ice. So that's where things get a little dangerous.
So be careful out there.
Honestly, not looking forward to that.
And for the rest of the week, what else can we expect?
Well, for the rest of the week, looking at Thursday and Friday, it's some rain, snow on Thursday, and then Friday, a lot of snow. Very indecisive with the weather here, because then as you see Saturday, we get some AM clouds, and then a little bit of sun too in the afternoon, which is always great. However, Saturday is the coldest day. We see lows drop all the way to 9, which is never fun. And then Sunday, you get some more clouds running through, and Monday, rain of mix of rain and snow.
Wow, cold enough that we even get the icicles on the slide. Looks like we're going to have to bundle up, especially for the weekend. At least it'll be sunny though.
Definitely.
That'll be nice.
Yes, but you might want to think twice the next time you see a traffic jam on Google Maps. Simon Weckert, a German artist, managed to bring a whole section of Berlin to a standstill, at least online.
Weckert opened Google Maps on 99 smartphones, loaded them all up in his little red wagon, and wandered the empty streets of the German capital. This tricked the app into believing there was a massive traffic jam, leaving Google representatives working on a solution. And Kerri, this is absolutely insane.
What a power move, honestly. The fact that you can affect it so much, that's crazy. I would do that if I want to get somewhere a little faster, make everyone else think that it was a little bit more
traffic jam.
Yeah.
Walker, would you ever pull something like this?
It depends. I think it's pretty cool that he did that. I give him some respect. That takes a lot of time. 99 phones. I don't even know where you can find that many iPhones.
Honestly, I have no idea. He had to, literally the time to download all the apps to make sure that he had, all the data, paying for the data. Here we go. As we see the video, we see him in his wagon. He's really just loaded up.
99 problems and busy traffic isn't one.
Oh, that's a good one.
Thank you.
This is also kind of a new kind of hacking, really.
It's like catfishing, but for your phone.
Exactly. That's a fantastic way to clear the roads.
Thank you.
And that's all the time we have on CitrusTV News. For more content, make sure you follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We even have a new digital show called The Tap. We have sports shows, we have entertainment shows, and we even bring you news. I'm Carmella Boykin.
You can catch us there, and I'm Kerri McAneney. Make sure to have a great night, Syracuse.